welcome to our webinar, our first for the Applied Puppetry Commission. Previously, the commission was once known as the Education, Development and Therapy Commission, but in Chuncheon, it was decided that we would have to move on to Applied Puppetry, and this is the reason why today. As we are in a situation where education, development in community, the work of puppetry, and how we apply that to the situations more beyond just therapy or schools and so on. Yeah, with me is Matt Smith from British UNIMA, and he will be moderating this session, along with Joanne, Jocelyn. We are trying to make sure that Leovaldo and Camela are from Cuba, from Teatro Viajero, are able to join us today. But as you know, of course, we've got a lot of communication issues. So we are doing our best to make sure they participate. Unfortunately, we're not able to stream this live on YouTube. There's been some changes to how we're working with YouTube at the moment. So we are going to record this, and then after that, use the transcript to make it available in English, French, and Spanish, thanks to our wonderful secretariat team, UNIMA International, as well as the Communications Commission, who will do their best to create an excerpt of this to share with you, to share with other centers about our work here. Now, for the presentations will be done in English, but thanks to Jocelyn, we're going to try and translate to Spanish as well. If there are difficulties understanding, please feel free to use the Zoom function to turn the captions on in your preferred language. And we advise that you try to leave the language in your preference. So even though we may be switching back and forth between English and Spanish and so on, just leave it in your language, and then just try to keep up and just let the caption do their thing. Try not to worry too much about that. Okay. Each presenter will be about we're giving them about 15 minutes or so, but understanding that there may be electrical and communication problems. There will be some grace, but we'll try and keep it all within 15 minutes each. And then finally, we will have about half an hour for Q&A. All right. If that's okay with everyone. Okay, I trust that everyone's more or less comfortable with Zoom. Yeah. Leovaldo, Camela, I see you up there. Yeah.
Sorry. Can I say something? I have a message from Carol Sterling, and she cannot come through on Zoom with her link. So it doesn't work. But I cannot
Okay.
mail her.
No worry. I'll try and figure that out. Okay. We have to start.
Thank you.
So let's let Matt start the session, and then yeah, have a good webinar, everyone. All right.
Hello. Thank you, Terence, and thank you, Goran, for sorting things out so we can host this. I'm going to read from my notes so that it can be translated easier, and then I will put them in the chat, and hopefully that will mean that we can begin well. I don't want to say very much. Hello, thank you for joining us. My name is, if you don't know me, Dr. Matt Smith from the University of Portsmouth in the UK, and I'm a reader in applied theatre and puppetry. And I'm really happy to host this discussion and presentation. We've got some fantastic practice that's going to be shared and thoughts about these practices. We're living through some very uncertain times, and we're all aware of that, with a multitude of conflicts that affect our art form. We also have puppet artists who are responding to the problem of crisis and conflict. And today we're exploring this urgent topic. We will have 3 presentations, and then some good time for discussion, which can be questions or reactions to the presentations. You can put your questions in the chat or wait until we have had our presentations, and I will chair that section of the discussion today. If there's anything that you do not understand, we can help explain further, and that might be that's to do with what we call jargon. So first, we will have Jocelyn Glaves from Chile, and then we will have from Cuba, Carmela and Leovaldo from Teatro Viajero. Apologies for my pronunciation of these, but hopefully they will join us. And then we will have Joanne from the Netherlands, and then we will have that discussion. So I will let the presenters talk about their work. Okay, I'll put this in the chat. And if it's okay, Jocelyn, if you're ready to go, we will set your slides up and we will have your presentation first, please.
Okay. I'll share. So I must share my screen. Yeah. Is it right, Terence?
Yes, all is working fine.
Yeah.
It's up there now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Please wait. Can everybody see my screen? Yeah, and hear me? Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Well, hi everybody. My presentation is called Applied Puppetry for the Good Living. This is me. My name is Jocelyn Glaves. I'm a visual artist, educator and puppeteer since 2007. And also I'm an UNIMA member since 2017. I live in Chile and the Lake District, that's in the south. Here is the frame of my presentation called Applied Puppetry and Good Living. The good living is a way of life promoted by UNESCO, which originates in the Andean countries and proposes an alternative to the conventional model of the development based mostly on economic growth. The good living seeks social well-being within communities, focusing primarily on harmony between human beings and nature, sustainability, social equity, and respect for cultural diversity. The good living recognizes that culture is an essential pillar of sustainable development, promoting intercultural dialogue and valuing indigenous worldviews. So, how to make the good living flourish through puppetry, especially applied puppetry? This is a question I try to find an answer here for my presentation. Through these 4 core ideas. The first one is to make sense or make meaningful puppetry. The second is to do it with others. The third one is using critical and divergent thinking. And the fourth, situated applied puppetry, or applied puppetry put in context. Let's go with the first one. Meaningful puppetry. Through applied puppetry, puppets and their stories become special because they are created with the purpose to heal, to help solving problems a community might be facing, to give a hug in times of sorrow, to make us laugh while we are learning, or trying to find an answer. Yes, because applied puppetry is also a way of creating collective knowledge. The second one is to do it with others. Through applied puppetry, Applied puppetry blooms in the fertile soil of the good living, which aims to restore the sense of community and evolve from do it yourself to do it with others, like indigenous communities. They have collective thoughtful thinking, collective awareness, collective search for answers. And this is I try to, inspired by the Native American people, the search for collective, a way of living based on collective. I'm trying to pass to the other slide. The third one, thinking, critical and divergent thinking. Together, they support problem solving by balancing careful evaluation with imaginative exploration and openness to new perspectives. They help us to connect the dots of isolated facts, gaining understanding and knowledge. So I think applied puppetry must promote this way of thinking, divergent and critical, to evolve from an information society to a knowledge society. And the fourth one, and the most important, at least to me, is applied puppetry in context, contextual applied puppetry, or títere aplicado situado. Applied puppetry situated in context takes place in an authentic, grounded, and relevant situation that reflects the real world and its challenges. Contextual applied puppetry allows a good diagnosis of the community we're working with, and that leads to design more effective methodologies. So, speaking about the context, I'll show you my context. Here's where I live. I live in Chile, in the south of American country, and in the south of my country. Here are some of the views of the area I live, the town, the countryside where I live. And this is me giving a workshop on my community. I've been working for these 3 years, mostly for women. And the diagnosis we've made for the women who live in this area is that they share a common trait: the intense burden associated with the role of caregiver, often assumed alone, without sufficient support networks. The feminization of caregiving limits their time, their emotional health, their personal space, and their ability to participate in collective activities that provide them with support. Thinking of the women of my area, I've created this workshop called Taller de Muñecas Quitapena, or Relief Sorrow Dolls Workshop. The Maya legend says that Muñecas Quitapena, or sorrow reliever dolls, can alleviate worries and help you sleep. It is believed that if you tell them your problems and place them under your pillow, the dolls will take your worries away. This workshop for caregiver women is inspired by the therapeutic and symbolic meaning of traditional dolls presented in Latin America and other cultures around the world. It intends to offer a space of trust, mutual care, and creative freedom where participants can explore artistic, plastic, and theatrical techniques and tools for self-discovery and personal expression. This is the team: Karina Fernandez, an art teacher, and Carla Núñez, the psychologist. We together work with this workshop. My references, well, of course, the Mayan muñecas quita pena and kuklas, Russian traditional kind of dolls made out of cloth. Cueca is also a main reference to me. It's a traditional Chilean dance with a handkerchief, and the textile art of my country called arpilleras. And of course, the altar, always present in my workshops. The altar, inspired by native South American traditions, features 4 essential elements of nature: candles as a temporal mark of beginning and ending of the worship, and some offerings that participants put at the opening of the activity. The altar is present during the whole process of the worship. The origin is this. This worship arose from a personal experience of grief that led me to seek healing through puppetry. My grandmother died during the COVID crisis, and I couldn't attend her funeral due to the strict protocols at the time. So I started making a puppet of her as a way to find closure of my grieving process. And I discovered that the big healing power of puppetry. That was the starting point of a search that took me to use applied puppetry in my artwork. The techniques and materials I use, mostly collage, I use to assemble different pieces of fabric to make the dolls, and also magazine clippers are used to for group activities to make socialization easier among the participants. I also use shadow theater techniques in some group activities to express feelings. Body expression, inspired in Chilean national dance called cueca, and object theater are also used to start the construction process, the doll making process. And these textile boards are made of fabric too, are used to explain the step-by-step of the base of the doll making. These boards are useful in places where internet service is not available. I live in a countryside area, so service is not very good. This is the setup of the workshop. I hang the textile boards, put it on the table, and these are the materials on the table too. The workshop process begins with conversations and group activities that address various topics related to gender issues, such as emotional labor. The purpose of this conversation is to collectively reflect on the multiple challenges we face as women, providing emotional support, containment, and relief. This is the doll making process. We work all together in a big table. We take this time to talk, laugh, drink coffee, gossip, everything. Here are the women making their dolls. And we fold and put a good intention made to ourselves, written in one of the group activities in a paper, and put the paper inside of our dolls. Here are some examples of the dolls we made in the workshops. And the women blooming with their dolls, because for some of them, it's the first time they live a creative experience. For the closing, we have a ritual where participants present their doll and walk through a best wishes and compliment tunnel, and we hug each other. Well, this was my presentation of good living and Applied Puppetry. I hope you've liked it. And there you can find my social media and email and WhatsApp number in case you want to talk more about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jocelyn. That's so powerful to see that practice. Thank you so much. We've got the opportunity for you to ask questions. If you just joined or you joined a little bit late, we're going to go through the presentations first, and then we will have a discussion. And we've got plenty of time at the end for discussions, hopefully. And thank you so much, Jocelyn. That was perfect timing as well. Fantastic. So we're going to move on. If we can have Leovaldo and Carmela, are you okay to unmute and we can see you and arrange your presentation now? I think we're going to go with your presentation next, please.
Hola, mucho gusto. Somos Carmela y Leovaldo, actores titiriteros de Teatro Viajero de La Habana, Cuba, con una amplia experiencia de 26 años de trabajo, y también incursionamos con experiencias de talleres de creación titiritera. Entonces, pensamos que dado el contexto mundial sumergido en una profunda crisis de valores éticos y circunstancias caóticas caracterizadas por el egoísmo, la supremacía de la fuerza, la violencia, la autorreferencialidad, todas estas dinámicas de poder que generan desequilibrio y también cohíben el derecho a la justicia, se hace urgente y necesario no solo un pensamiento crítico, sino también experiencias prácticas que coadyuven a crear un clima de respeto, tolerancia entre todas las culturas y todas las personas en todas partes. Pues la paz es una aspiración común y superior a toda instancia, organizativas y gubernamentales encargadas de instrumentalizar políticas que favorezcan y fomenten acciones en el ejercicio democrático y participativo para lograr superar el abismo que se ha creado con las llamadas guerras preventivas. Cuba se inserta también en esta profunda crisis con una precariedad económica abismal que afecta a todos los niveles de la vida, humanos y sociales, donde sufrimos de crisis sanitarias, educativas, energéticas, de alimentación, migración, separación de las familias, comunicación, entre otras. Es nuestra condición y nuestra situación actual en medio de esta crisis. Al interior reflejamos todo este mundo polarizado donde escuchamos las voces contenidas en el miedo, la represión, la desesperanza, la inseguridad, ante la dificultad de ejercer diplomáticamente su derecho a la opinión y a la participación responsable y consciente en la toma de decisiones. Como artistas titiriteros, nos colocamos al lado de los sectores más vulnerables y apostamos por el arte de los títeres como una herramienta eficaz, transformadora, comunicativa. Encontramos un camino que nos permite involucrarnos desde el arte de educación y el desarrollo social con talleres de creación titiritera en diferentes contextos sociales y comunidades también desfavorecidas socialmente. Nos nutrimos con la metodología del Living Peace Internacional, un camino de educación para la paz creado por Carlos Palma, un profesor uruguayo en Egipto en 2012, quien después de haber vivido durante más de 25 años la tragedia de la guerra en el Medio Oriente, se preguntó cómo dar una respuesta concreta a la necesidad de paz.
Carmela, momento. We just want to make sure, is anybody trying to get their captions in English? You might be having some problems. So we're just seeing if we can change the caption. Are you getting is anybody using captions? We will try and translate, and I'll let Carmela start in a moment for English speakers and for those, we're doing it in English and Spanish today. So we will try and sort that out, but I think we're just carry on in a moment, Carmela, and we will try and sort in the background so we can make sure the captions are in there. We'll have a look in the chat.
Sorry to interrupt, but Carmela and Leobaldo sent the transcription in English, so I can read the after she ends her presentation.
Many
¿Cierto,
thanks.
Carmela? Tú tienes enviaste en inglés lo que estás diciendo y yo luego puedo decirlo, ¿sí? Yeah, I can read in English the text she sent. Is it okay?
Yeah, that's okay. I just wanted to check, Carmela, that should we see images, slides?
Como artistas titiriteros decía, nos colocamos al lado de los sectores más vulnerables y apostamos por el arte de los títeres como una herramienta comunicativa, eficaz, empática y transformadora. Encontramos un camino que nos permite involucrarnos desde el arte, educación y el desarrollo social en talleres de creación titiritera en diferentes contextos sociales y sobre todo en comunidades desfavorecidas. Decía que nos nutrimos con la metodología del Living Peace Internacional, que es un camino de educación para la paz creado en Egipto en 2012 por el profesor uruguayo Carlos Palma, quien después de haber vivido durante 25 años aproximadamente en el Medio Oriente, las situaciones constantes de guerra, se preguntó cómo dar una respuesta concreta a la necesidad de la paz. Él, a su vez, se inspiró en los ideales del movimiento de los populares creado por Chiara Lubich en Trento, Italia, en el periodo de posguerra en 1943, que toma como ideal la unidad universal y la fraternidad a través del diálogo interreligioso. Entonces, el Dado de la Paz es su proyecto creado, así como el movimiento de los populares está extendido en los 5 continentes. Actualmente consigue una amplia plataforma de redes sociales en diversos países del mundo, con especial interés en los países árabes. Ahora Leobaldo va a explicar lo que sería nuestra experiencia concreta con los talleres de creación titiritera a partir de la aplicación, la puesta en práctica del movimiento popular en Cuba.
Bueno, un gusto, soy Leobaldo de Teatro Viajero.
¿Levante la presentación de Carmela o no?
Sí,
Disculpen.
sí, está incluida. Está incluida y si quieres lo podemos hacer como tú lo previste y colocamos las imágenes, Teren, mientras yo explico.
Ah, ok.
Está incluido en el texto. Quizás me salte algo, pero más o menos después cuando lo leas va a estar
Entonces,
ahí.
adelante. Sí, disculpen. Era solo para preguntar.
Bueno, nos habíamos quedado en el Dado de la Paz, este espacio donde Teatro Viajero se inserta dentro de esta metodología. El Dado de la Paz consiste parte de un juego y eso para nosotros es vital e importante porque la razón esencial de nuestro trabajo pedagógico se basa en el juego como motor impulsor de las ideas, de las sensaciones para la creación. Entonces, ¿en qué consiste el Dado de la Paz? Se lanza un dado que no tiene números, tiene 6 caras. Cada cara del dado tiene un eslogan, un principio, un valor que puede ser ser el primero en amar, saber escuchar, amar y crear recíprocamente, valorizar a todos y quizás los dos más difíciles de entender, que es el perdón y amar al enemigo. Sobre esta base, nosotros creamos nuestro taller de creación titiritera. ¿En qué consiste? Bueno, es un taller de creación de títeres en colectivo, una creación colectiva donde tratamos de pasar por todo el universo de la creación del títere. Lo primero es los objetivos, que es desarrollar capacidades, habilidades, valorizar los contextos de aprendizaje en comunidad, cooperativamente, intercambiar y construir el conocimiento. Muy importante lo que los niños, las familias que se integran al taller traen, y a partir de lo que ellos traen, nosotros construimos el conocimiento y los saberes se hacen en colectivo. Estimulamos el aprendizaje significativo mediante asociaciones, alegorías y el universo cultural de cada cual. Y potencia la creatividad. Lo primero que hacemos en el taller con esta metodología es conocernos, formar un grupo y consolidar una amistad. Eslabón esencial para crear un clima de paz en un contexto desfavorecido, en un contexto agreste, difícil, como el que vivimos nosotros. Un grupo de amigos, niños, padres, adultos, un poco más pequeñitos, grupos mixtos en ocasiones, se juntan para hacer títeres. Entonces, después que tenemos este grupo de amigos, pasamos a una parte quizás literaria, donde creamos entre todos un texto a partir de ideas generadoras, de inquietudes y con las problemáticas y los intereses de cada cual. En colectivo se reformula ese texto y que puede ser un texto dramático, ¿no? A veces puede ser un anecdótico o una simple partitura de movimiento que exprese lo que queremos decir. Luego pasamos a la parte plástica o visual de todo el proceso, que sería el diseño y la construcción de las figuras o elementos escenográficos. Aquí nos gustaría destacar otra colaboración, aparte del lado de la paz que hemos tenido con el maestro Jeff Payton de los Estados Unidos, con el cual hemos colaborado profundamente y quizás ameritemos en otra ocasión profundizar un poco más sobre esta experiencia, de la cual nos ha nutrido de muchas maneras para este proceso de la construcción de los títeres por sus métodos y sus estudios muy profundos que él tiene y que nosotros hemos compartido y llevado a la práctica. Entonces, en esta parte del diseño y construcción de las figuras, ahí desplegamos todas las técnicas de títeres posibles que ellos puedan construirlo, a partir de materiales reciclados, partiendo también de lo que existe en ese momento para crearla en ese mismo clima de colectividad y de acción recíproca para todos. Después que tenemos las figuras diseñadas, animadas, entonces hacemos una representación colectiva, un performance entre todos que luego al final es socializada con la familia, con los amigos o con el grupo. Más o menos esta es la historia que contamos en este taller de creación titiritera, basado en estos principios de colaboración y de armonía, creando un clima de paz en medio de nuestro contexto, que quizás no es un contexto de guerra física, pero sí de tensiones y de precariedades que alteran el sistema nervioso, por así decir, o la estabilidad de la sociedad cubana contemporánea.
Bueno, y a modo de conclusión, quería decir que nuestra experiencia con el Dado de la Paz nos ha llevado a entender la paz no como un concepto abstracto, sino como una construcción real y posible desde lo personal hacia lo colectivo. Sobre todo, vivir la paz nos compromete a crear un mundo mejor desde el grupo y a través del arte que nos permite autoexpresarnos, aceptar las diferencias, la inclusión y sobre todo la cooperación, la solidaridad entre todos, que es también algo que debemos educar en las nuevas generaciones. Desde los valores que nos propone el Dado de la Paz en sus diferentes caras, hemos ido ayudando a sustituir el tejido de la violencia por el tejido del amor. Y esperamos que este tejido sea una semillita, una manera que hemos sembrado y que se extienda a toda la sociedad. Gracias. Esta es nuestra ponencia, nuestra creencia y nuestro aporte al pensamiento y a la acción por la paz.
Bueno, se muestran imágenes del trabajo con el Dado de la Paz y con otras experiencias que no son específicamente del Dado, pero que igual la llevamos a cabo durante todo nuestro proceso, a la par de la labor creativa con más. No sé, Jocelyn, ¿puedes ayudar ahí al...?
Sí, voy a leer el texto que subieron al Drive. ¿Sí? ¿Está bien?
Sí.
Okay, I'm going to read the text Carmela and Leobaldo prepared for the webinar to explain their experience. So, Teatro Viajero from Cuba. Given the global context immersed on a profound crisis of ethical values and chaotic circumstances, marked by the dangerous advance of multipolarism and the primacy of force, acceptance of difference become practically inadmissible, giving way to violence and self-referential attitudes characterized by selfishness and power dynamics that generates imbalance and restrain the right to justice. It becomes evident and necessary not only to cultivate critical thinking, but also to develop practical experiences that help introduce a climate of dialogue, respect, and tolerance. There is no doubt that peace and security must be cultivated through the consensus of all, since they constitute a common aspiration and a fundamental action at every level. Peace is the only possible path to overcome the abyss that has been created by the instrumentalization of so-called preventive wars, turning our space or time into a station toward which the most advanced weapons are aimed. Cuba, within this panorama, is immersed in a deep crisis of economic and human precariousness that affects all levels of life and produces social instability. It also reflects internally the echoes of its polarized world. The country is going through an increasingly emerging chaos and is not exempt from the need for a genuine and diplomatic dialogue as an exercise of citizens' rights. In the face of multiple crises, family fragmentation, healthcare, education, food shortages, migration, among others, fear and hopelessness take hold of everyday life. This leaves people's decision-making capacities disabled when it comes to building a potential future, as well as experiences well-being in the immediate present. In the light of conscious, all people everywhere have the capacity to become sensitive to what it is beautiful and good, responding positively through the universal language of art, which transforms us both humanly and socially. Art produces synergies of empathy and powerfully addresses the human need for happiness shared by all. In itself, it brings order to chaos and allows new life to flow, capable in its maturation process of germinating deeper and more supportive cultures. As puppeteers, we place ourselves alongside the most vulnerable sectors and advocate for puppetry as a communicative, artistic, and transformative tool. Based on our professional experience, we have found a path that allows us to engage through education and social development in puppet creation workshops in different contexts and socially disadvantaged communities. To this end, we've trained regularly and have benefited from the support of various institutions and NGOs. In recent years, our interests and concern have been marked by the idea of peace, abstract concept, but as a real possible construction from personal to collective level. We use the art of puppetry in the practice of our workshops as an effective application. Enriched by the experience of Living Peace International and its education for peace methodology. That's it. ¿Hay algo más que quieran que agregar? ¿Está bien esa parte, Leobaldo y Carmela? ¿Sí? Ok.
Muchas gracias porque está bien, que eso es nuestra realidad actual con muchas carencias, pero ahí vamos llevando de lo importante desde el arte y cómo el arte de los títeres, es lo que quiero enfatizar, es una herramienta que se comprueba cada vez que es eficaz y que puede penetrar los diferentes sectores con empatía en la sociedad y en los usuarios.
Gracias. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to see insights into so much powerful practice and how, privileged we are to be able to see that. Thank you. Jocelyn, you okay just to translate what I just said briefly then? Did you understand?
I'm sorry, my dog was barking, so I was trying to.
No problem. Okay, we're going to move on because we want to get through the presentations and then we will have questions. And please think of your questions, put them in the chat as well, please. But wonderful. Okay, finally, Joanne, lovely to see you again as ever. And Joanne will be the final presentation and we have some slides. So I'm going to move on to Joanne Oussoren.
Hello, everybody. So nice to see you too. And I'd like to share some words with you. My name is Joanne Oussoren and I live in the Netherlands. I work for Droomtheater, which means, of course, Dream Theater. And I write, I direct, and I coordinate sometimes groups. I'm focused on special target groups like elderly and people with disabilities. And people with long distance to the job market. Can I have the first slide now? UNIMA and I are interested in the same questions. How to relate to geopolitical issues and how to imagine new possibilities at the same time. Beside all fears for inherited systematic cultural structures and traditions, people need a safe space to live a human life with a sense of being. The second slide, please. We need room for transition, dealing with an ecological form of storytelling at different life locations. That's the way I do it. Non-linear, but circular, where dialogue has more value than monologues, and relations are important. These intertwinements form the basics for being human. And the third slide, please. In workshops, digital shadow puppetry, a sense of togetherness can be offered for mental, social, and physical health. Even more when you can communicate with images or stories that you make yourself. In these off and online moments of joyful fun, we share our learning processes. I would like to suggest UNIMA, that's the fourth slide, to help us in creating rooms for transition, like virtual residencies with space for shared creative making processes involved. And finally, I'd like to show you a result of the residency Vippejurrer SIA. So that was a virtual international puppetry residency. Southeast Asia and the Netherlands. It was an exchange and an ongoing process for a couple of years. There it was created puppetry for the Congress of the festival, of the Congress and Festival in 25. So please enjoy this video.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you so much. Joanne, could you just say a few more words about that practice that you just showed the video of? Because that video was very powerful. Just one or two, two sentences.
Yes, please. It was organized by Frans Hakkemars, my colleague, and he stopped working now. He stopped puppetry, but I'd like to continue. I was at the last part of this series of residencies, and all members of this group had a local practice where they, in their community, practiced puppetry making for film. And they made a little film for this residency. Each, maybe 6 weeks or 4 weeks, we would meet online on Zoom and exchange our processes and to show each other or question each other what problems were or what would be better, or anyway, or what was very special to this location, which should be shown. And it was wonderful. I learned so much. I enjoyed everything about it, and it gave us very special sense of togetherness.
Thank you so much. I mean, it's wonderful work. Right, I'm going to hit my react button before I forget, because I have to do any more virtual clapping. We will now move into a discussion. That discussion would be great if we have some questions in the chat. I haven't seen any questions. In terms of getting the presentations, if anybody who has managed to make their way to the conversation and to the presentations today in this recording or in this live presentation today, we've got a question from Pradip about whether we can have the presentations. I think that's definitely a possibility. I'm sure, Terence, we could, if anybody would like to, we can link people up if possible. And I think the thing to do is to organizers today, and we can share those presentations. We have to make sure that, because some of these practices are of people in communities, that we're doing things correctly in terms of their images and things. But I think the presentations, I'm sure the presenters would be happy to do that. I'm just having a look in the chat. You don't have to just put your questions in the chat, but we've got one new message. I'm just going to open that up here. I've got too many things open on my computer. Right, we've got a great question from Wendy Passmore Godfrey from Canada and from WP Puppets. So take the floor, Wendy, if you want to just unmute yourself and ask your question. And for Jocelyn, actually, first of all, but let's just open that up to the group. So if you want to look in the chat, our presenters, and look at the questions as well as they appear. But also, Wendy, are you okay to unmute yourself and ask that question?
Certainly, certainly. I'm speaking English, but my question has to do with how any of the presenters evaluate the impact or success of their programs. I mean, everybody that's participating maybe has a good time, they smile, they laugh, they hug, but what goes on next? What happens next, and how do they judge their efficacy of the program? And how does it meet the goals that they set out for promoting world peace or anything that their goals are? Hopefully that made sense.
Jocelyn, are you okay to
Yeah.
ask?
Yeah, in my case, our workshops are part of a public health program for women, for caregiver women. So we work and related with the professionals of the public health system. So we designed this methodology, taking the diagnosis the professionals made of these women, because they have to take care sometimes familiars who are about to die, and they suffer a severe depression. And mostly the programs were related to technical thing, like how to use a needle, how to massage your sick relative, or give him a massage, or give him a medicine. And most of the women were facing a severe depression, so they asked for our team to help designing a methodology which could take care of her feelings as caregiver women. And we've been giving these workshops about a year or so, and they have their own forms and way to measure the progress of the participants. And this is like an open beginning path. They start with this workshop. Most of the women have never dealt with a creative experience before, and they think their process, their living is personal. So through this group activity, they start to share and realize here's like symptoms are part of being a caregiver women of terminal ill patients. So we encourage them to ask for help, for psychological help. This is, of course, not a solution for them. It's the first step of a path they go through then with professional public health people. But it's a way to help them to realize how are they feeling, to think for a moment about them, not of the relative which is ill. I don't know if I make myself clear. Wendy?
It's a great answer. Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, that's good. That's very helpful. I wonder how our other presenters measure their success.
Should we ask our friends from Cuba, from Leovalo and Carmela?
Sí, Leobaldo y Carmela, pregunta Wendy si cómo pueden medir la evolución o el impacto de que sus talleres tienen en la comunidad, cómo pueden ver si estos han sido efectivos, eso más o menos.
Bueno, realmente el instrumento como tal, estadístico, no lo tenemos así aplicado directamente, pero el instrumento sería en los instantes de celebración, de socializar con la comunidad, cuando viene la familia y vemos que la familia misma ha sido transformada como los propios niños, que a su interior y en sus propias vidas, ellos logran integrar estas dinámicas de colectividad, de amor y solidaridad. Esos son los mensajes que nos llegan, los mensajes positivos de ellos mismos, de los padres, los familiares que se acercan, viendo que inclusive a veces en tiempos reducidos, en tiempos cortos, se hace realidad a través de los kits, pero lo importante es que se hace realidad, que penetren estos valores humanos universales de compartir, de trabajar en colectivo, sobre todo de fraternidad es concreto. Esta es la forma que ahora tenemos más que medir estadísticamente el alcance estamos midiendo, yo creo, humanamente y sensiblemente la propia transformación que con los mensajes que recibimos.
They don't have an instrument to measure the impact, but they measure I'm sorry, a horse like parked outside my home, and my dog is crazy. They measure the impact of the workshop due to the response of the participants. They start to go to the work, to the classes. They feel the enthusiasm of them. So that's how they notice people is interested in the proposal they are making for them.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you. And yeah, I like the fact that a horse interrupted.
Yeah, I live in the country, and so a horse is the yard, and my dog is crazy.
Wonderful. Joanne, do you want to just quickly talk to this question of the
Yes.
feedback, and
yes. It's a very interesting thing because I work in two different parts of my city, a richer part and a more poor part. But anyway, they're both green communities so they have a knowledge of where green is important, and they are surrounded by others, so other related organizations. And we evaluate with a group, a talk in the group, so an extra part where we look back and how was it, what did we learn, what was special, what was new, what made us happy, what was less interesting, and that sort of dialogue, that sort of talk will wander in the environment. So we'll wander around within other organizations. So the result of that is, for me, the outcome is that I'm asked again for another workshop at a different spot, together with the organization that I work with. So it's a bigger group of organizers. We will work, for instance, for Museum for the Future, and to develop ideas about how to get our systems healthy and peacefully continuing. Is that an
That's
answer?
great. Yes, that's great, Joanne. Thank you. We've got about just so we know where we are in the meeting for everybody here, because this is a wonderful conversation. We have 30 minutes thereabouts for questions. I'm still going to. We've got a few questions coming in, which is wonderful. One thing I want to say is, if people want to use the chat to talk to other things as well, or just to say hello, say a quick comment, they can. That's great. But I'm going to just take Philemon from Kenya, for the Kenya Institute of Puppetry. I just want you to kind of unmute yourself, if that's okay. And could you ask your question for us next, please? Hi, Philemon. How are you?
Yes, thanks, Matt. Listening from the presenters, and particularly Jocelyn, and I was just wondering, in terms of content development and scripting, how she goes about getting the right content for the right audience, considering that she articulated very well that her main work lies in restoring the sense of the community. And in doing this, he must also diagonalize and create content that applies to the beneficiaries directly. So how do you go about getting the content and doing the script, and also involving the direct beneficiary or primary beneficiaries in coming up with their production?
Well, I work with a team of social workers and social sciences professional, and we try to make a good diagnosis of the community we are going to work with. That is very important to know what do they work, how do they believe, what do they believe, the religion, how many women, how many men, children, interests they have, music they listen. And before we start our workshop, we go to visit them like at least 2-3 times to work with the leaders of the community. That is very important. And ask for the community. And they give us like a diagnosis of the problems the community might be facing. So with a good diagnosis, methodology for them, for the community we're working with. In this case, was the participants were women. So we worked with a health public system, and we read some writings about the problems these women were facing, and designed a workshop thinking about the specific group.
Thank you, Jocelyn. That's great. Thank you. We've got a great question from Pavlina. Pavlina, would you like to ask your question, or should I just read it from the chat?
You can read it. I think I don't have more to. Or
no,
maybe I can.
It's nice to hear it's nice to hear your voice. Please, you say
Yeah,
ask your question.
okay.
Please.
So I am just a small background to know what I'm asking about, because my education was in Poland, and currently I am in part of UNIMA Germany, and I'm fresh after let's say traditional university education as is given in Europe, and that was more about performance and being in institutional theater. And I would love to ask, how would you suggest person as me or other participants that may be not directly making yet applied puppetry to start or make this switch from okay, I'm just doing for money or to perform to work for more for community? That would be my question. Like as well by education or any other suggestion you would have to just make a first steps?
That would be a good question. Maybe Joanne, would you like to pick that up? So for somebody wanting to start in applied puppetry.
Yes, because I started actually as an actress myself, and from there I started to direct. And then I started traveling, and puppets came to me. So on the way throughout Asia, I was closer to the ritual of puppetry. And coming back, I got a member of UNIMA, because then the next congress would be in Australia, and I thought, oh, I'll make something and go there. And that was my challenge. So, in other words, I would say, start with it. Start by doing it, and try to develop a puppet, or choose a technique, like I'm using shadow puppetry, for instance, which works for me very well. But anything would do. I mean, any conversation with a puppet or thoughts around a puppet, just tell them. Is that an answer to your question?
Not fully, because I studied the puppets theater university, so it's not like my first touch with puppets at
I thought
all.
you were, sorry,
It's
I
more
thought you
about
were.
like more in the organizational way, like how to go from a performative view of puppetry to more applying it to work with community, as
Okay.
someone who already is a professional, not someone who
Okay.
just starting at all.
Well, make a dialogue with a community group. So just go around and try to get in touch with a group you like, a community you like, and develop a plan to work with puppets.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, Joanne. I think it's that thing of like, you're working with a community, you're not doing to the community. You're working with them. They're making the puppets they want to make, in practice. We've got quite a few questions now, which is wonderful. I'm just going to take one more question from on the chat at the side, from Pradip, and it's a question. Pradip, are you okay to ask this one? Because it's just lovely to hear people's voices from around the world in this webinar. So, Pradip, are you all right to unmute yourself and ask your question about the context in Cuba? Okay, I will ask the question because just for time's sake. Pradip's got a question about he's saying in Cuba and Mexico as well, but I think specifically for Cuba. And Jocelyn, I don't know if you can help me with this. It's a very short question. So, is there any entrepreneur developed through the puppet product market promotion? So something about developing it as a product, or kind of through this entrepreneurial way of working. So about the kind of the business of that, is there I guess possibilities for that? And Pradeep, if I've completely made your question wrong, let me know. Does that make sense, Jocelyn, to maybe ask Carmela or Leonardo?
I'm not sure if I understand. Is what you're asking is in Cuba a way of make puppetry as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think it's about that. It's about is that possibility?
Leovaldo y Carmela, Pradip pregunta si en Cuba es posible asumir el teatro de títeres como una empresa o como un negocio, o trabajarlo de esa manera.
Bueno, a ver, por parte, en Cuba la mayoría de los actores somos profesionales, es decir, que pertenecemos a una institución, por lo cual recibimos una remuneración. Somos un grupo oficial subvencionado por el Estado, recibe una remuneración mínima, ¿no? Pero por lo menos somos reconocidos institucionalmente.
Jocelyn, unmute
In,
yourself.
yeah. In Cuba, professional actors and puppeteers are get a subvention from the state. Sí, ahora sí, pueden seguir.
Gracias. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm sorry, no entendí.
No, a ver, los grupos de titiriteros por lo general todos son funcionados por el Estado, que tienen salarios y además subvención para la producción. Por lo general todos han estado durante los últimos tiempos en esa situación. ¿Qué puede pasar? Que quizás esto pueda cambiar en un futuro. Ya estamos como preparando para eso, porque verdaderamente el Estado no tiene la capacidad económica quizás para cubrir eso. Tampoco. Y de alguna manera tenemos que prepararnos para eso.
Yeah, so far, professional artists in Cuba receive an income from the state, but due to the economical crisis, they don't know if that model could continue in the future. So they're kind of thinking about what should they do, how to prepare for that situation.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you for translating again. I'm going to move towards Anne-Murray, because Anne-Murray has had her virtual hand up for a while now. So Anne-Murray, are you okay to unmute and ask your question, please?
Sorry, yes. Am I unmuted now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was just curious because the question that Wendy asked about the outcomes and the efficacy, coming from 14 years of being a teacher, that's a very familiar kind of question. And I was just wondering because I feel that there is a lot about these programs that is ineffable, that's something that we know is valuable. We can see some of the result, but actually the efficacy, the value of it comes out over time. It's not necessarily a cause and effect where you do something and then immediately it makes a change. So how do we introduce this idea in an effective way to investors or funders or schools or programs or something so that they can value it as we do? Because we see it, we know it, and we have an intuitive sense and some experience also, obviously, of its success. So, what are some suggestions or ideas that people might have?
That's a great question. Thanks, Anne-Marie. Sorry, Anne-Murray. I think, Jocelyn, just because you spoke to this before, I think you had a good answer for this in something you said before, because you said you work with other professionals, you work with other agencies, and those other agencies working in teams really help support this kind of creative work. And I thought that was a great insight. Would you want to say any more about that, Jocelyn, just in regards to what Anne-Murray said?
Yeah, I don't know the context of your reality, Anne-Marie. I work in mine in Chile, and there are several programs related to different areas, such as education, public health, and they they have this fundings, and so we apply for them, and trying to solve a specific social issue the program is focused on. So that's the way we work, applying to funds, different funds. And I don't know if in your country is the same. But it's always difficult to trying to convince someone. Even here in Chile. But I would say, in my experience, the backup of my work, the register I've made of it, of the different experience I've made, is a kind of dossier I always take with me in terms to show the authorities or people who are in charge of this kind of programs what we have done before. So it's an interesting question, but as I say, context is very, very important. So maybe we could talk later about your context and try to help you more, give you a more specific answer.
Yeah, I think, Jocelyn, just to pick up on that, I think one thing is, Eugenio Barber said this many years ago, context is for them more important than text. And I think in applied theatre, context is sometimes more important than text.
Yeah,
yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. We've got another virtual hand up from Guy. Guy, you okay to unmute and ask your question, please?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. Yo estuve en Cuba hace muchos años. I wanted to ask about dealing with limitations on contents, which is something that we're dealing with here a lot in Israel-Palestine, either from the state or from different directions that oppose to some contents that the puppets or the performances might bring up. So asking about ways of dealing with these limitations, with censorship, with...
Leoval y Carmela, Guy pregunta que cómo lidian con alguna limitación o censura que pueda haber en los contenidos que ustedes entregan con su arte, si han experimentado esa censura, a él le ha pasado en su realidad y quería saber si a ustedes les ocurre.
También es muy difícil cuando vives en una circunstancia conflictiva, una circunstancia de alguna manera, por eso la comunidad, de autorreferencialidad, difícil, también por nuestra cultura, nuestra idiosincrasia, las personas son muy apasionadas y asumen posturas muy determinadas, muy específicas y muy fuertes. Entonces, a través del arte un poco uno logra mediar, suavizar el lenguaje, pero también no podemos olvidar que el arte es lleva la crítica para tratar de transformar la sociedad y anunciar de alguna manera, prever todas aquellas cosas, situaciones que uno quiere cambiar. Entonces, dadas estas posturas fuertes, encontradas, no siempre somos bien comprendidos, son nosotros, sino los artistas que también, como nosotros, tienen un compromiso social y que queremos un poco empujar hacia la esperanza, hacia un camino mejor de entendimiento y de amor. O sea que no es fácil tampoco en nuestra realidad expresar tan libremente lo que queremos decir. Siempre tenemos que ser muy cuidadosos con lo que decimos y por eso apostamos con esta crítica diplomática al amor, porque lo otro que se experimenta también al interior de Cuba son crisis y combates entre los propios cubanos, entre los propios nacionales, de alguna manera.
Yeah, as could I understood, because audio is not very good. They have to be very careful with the language they use and use it in their favor. For example, we're working for peace and love. Who in the work could be opposed to those terms? But using those terms to make your statements effective is a strategy. When you kind of, I don't know if I don't give this to a negative meaning, but kind of this guy used this words as peace and love to as a way to soften the censorship. I don't know if I made myself clear because I couldn't really understood due to the audio
Yes.
problems.
No, thank you. Muchas gracias, yo entendí. Y yo pensé también que tienen subjectos y historias que no pueden hablar sobre escena, como nosotros tenemos espectáculos sobre historias de mujeres que tenían problemas con nacidad en la casa ilegal. Después, para hablar de eso, no tenemos, claro, no tenemos plata del Estado, pero también es riesgo de violencia, es riesgo de muchas cosas para silenciar, to silenciar.
Silenciar, sí.
Muchos, yo siento que vivimos estados similares.
Similares, ¿cuáles?
Gracias.
Gracias.
Thank you. We are going to have to, in a moment, stop on the presentation. We're not stopping the event. I just think it's really important that we bring UNIMA, the organisers of this, which is Terence has set this up for us today, with Goran as well from the international area of UNIMA. So it's really important that we go back to them in a moment. But Joanne, I just wanted you to sort of like, because you were putting forward some ideas in regards to issues of not just about censorship, but about this way of like how we can thinking of ways forward. And I just think if you've got just a few last thoughts about that before we move on and conclude.
Yes, well, I think this meetup was so fruitful to get in touch with all these practices that are alive in the communities. We certainly have to get on, and we started this working group as preparing for the webinar, but then the idea developed. It will be a working group for 4 years, because it will take 4 years until we have the next Congress and festival in Prague, and it's a road from here to there, to then, and I think it would be very, very worthwhile to involve more insights of more communities, and also, well, my idea is to introduce residencies for this, digital residencies, but how to, we should talk and think that over. I don't have a concrete idea how to organize it right here. But if everybody could think about this issue with us or with me, please do, and let us know.
Yes, and I
Um,
think this,
I
sorry.
totally agree with Joanne. I think we have had a very interesting conversation here, and we should continue to get together and try to find a way to made up with all of us in a collective way to keep going with these this issue. Applied puppetry is very important, especially in these times of crisis. So I totally agree, and come with me. I'm on it. I'm in.
I think that's a wonderful way to just, we're gonna finish with our presenters because I really want to Terence to come back in, because Terence is the reason for us having this meeting today. From my point of view, I'm here just to be a happy face and help chair meetings. But if everyone would just like to do like a virtual thank you to our presenters, I think it's been an absolutely fantastic conversation. And thank you so much for everybody who's come and the questions that have been asked and the questions that have been put forward. And Terence is putting on the chat, if you can share your emails, if you're happy to do that, please use this as a way to network further, because one of the things that's wonderful about this is connecting to the wider world and beyond kind of like borders, which is wonderful to see. So don't go away just yet. Leave your comments in the comment chat, and I'm just going to pass over to Terence for the final bit of the presentation. But I'd just like to say a great thank you to all of our presenters. It's been an absolutely wonderful conversation. Thank you so much. Okay, Terence.
Sí, Leobaldo, permiso, I'm sorry. Leobaldo y Carmela se están despidiendo ya los presentadores. Si quieren decir alguna cosa que pueda ayudarles.
Bueno, dar las gracias por este encuentro. La verdad que necesitaríamos muchas horas para poderlo hacer realidad. Me voy a quedar con una pregunta que leí en español de Jara para tratar de resumir, que él preguntaba, Jara de México preguntaba que qué consejo le daríamos a los titiriteros de lugares oprimidos. Y yo le pensaba en algo de que primero está en la verdad y lo otro, la seguridad de que los titiriteros somos como los primeros influencers que ha habido en la humanidad, aunque tengamos pocos likes del poder. Así que ese es mi consejo para todos los titiriteros.
Y yo también, que no dejen de apostar por el arte de los títeres. Tenía que ver con la verdad, con esa fe, con creer en que el arte es posible y que, contrario al camino de la violencia, apostemos por el camino del amor, desde el arte de los títeres, que sí se puede, despacio, con paciencia, pero sí se puede lograr el camino de la unidad y de la fraternidad universal. Agradecidos, muy agradecidos a todos e identificados. Gracias.
Bravo.
Thank you, everybody. So as you know, I'm not so good behind. I'm more a behind the scenes kind of guy. But thanks to huge thanks to Matt, huge thanks to all our wonderful presenters. Thank you, Joanne, for spearheading this and creating this idea of doing this. It's been wonderful, especially in these difficult times. Thank you so much, Jocelyn. Gracias for the translation and coordinating. I'm based in Singapore, so we are 12 hours difference. It's nighttime here, and so every time I wake up and see Jocelyn's messages and vice versa to coordinate this. Muchas gracias. Leobaldo, Camela, I'm so sorry.
Gracias.
Me no español. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But and
gracias. Muy
lindo. I really wanted to do this anyway, especially with Leobaldo and Carmela. because of the situation in Cuba. When we knew that things were getting more and more difficult in Cuba, and I said, no matter what, we must do it as soon as possible. We must hear about their work. We must speak to them. And I know their Facebook account is full, but if you can add them on Facebook or see more about their work, please do. We at the Applied Puppetry Commission, we are a pretty large commission now, because we cover such a great, and it's thanks to academics and practitioners like Dr. Matthew Smith over here, who has graciously been our moderator. It's thanks to writers and practitioners like him that we have the term applied puppetry, which is much better for what we do. We are not just working in classrooms or in a therapy session. We are community workers. We are humanitarians who pick up the puppets or make one from the ground, who enter a family or are part of a family, or we are creating puppets to heal and help ourselves first, and then start helping others around us. And this is why we are a very large community from around the world. I was very surprised to see pretty much everyone from all continents here, and it's really, really marvelous. Our commission is now already over 30 people, so there's already excuse me. Yeah, so there's already over 35 of us with 5 different working groups, which deals with therapy, which deals with pedagogy. We deal with, thanks to Joanne and this group, we have social development. Thanks to my vice president, Antje, who couldn't join, Antje Wagner, who cannot join us today. We now also have the resource and research working group as well. And we have the crisis support group. So we are now starting a private Facebook group as well. Just look for Applied Puppetry on UNIMA on Facebook, and you will find our private group. It's still private for the moment if you still use Facebook, so that we can share things online and stuff. And I can't accept any more members and volunteers at the moment, but I would certainly love to chat with all of you. Thanks for putting in your emails on the chat. I will try my best to remain in communications with you, to link some of you up. I saw that Ilya from Malaysia and another person wanted to, maybe Nelly from Estonia. Maybe you have some ideas. I can link you up and try exchange some thoughts. So we will try to record and save everything, and we will try and transcribe everything to put into English, French, and Spanish with regards to this wonderful, wonderful field of applied puppetry. And I will share this link with all of you. So if you have missed out Carmela and Leovardo's speech, or vice versa, Leovardo, Carmela, if you want to see what everyone else has presented, I hope to put it in Spanish subtitles for you as well. Okay, and last but not least, I want to thank, of course, Goran Zelic from Croatia. He is our part of the Secretariat of UNIMA International. And he has helped to organize this, and he and our wonderful communications commission, Cambly Aguila from Costa Rica, and the team will try and create this video for you. So that's it from me, I guess. If you you have my contact, you can write to me at appliedpuppetry@unima.org. I'm putting it in the chat group now. And yeah, I will see you soon. We will see you soon. All right. I'm just gonna grab a few screenshots of us so we can just show off what a magnificent group we are. And thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you.